You're listening to the J.D. Rucker Show. Let's begin. We are going to try to begin. I have to test real quick to see if this is working. I appreciate y'all's patience because I just have a hard time sometimes. I really do. I have a hard time making the Rumble Studio work, and I'm sure it's my fault. I just need to get to a degree of stability on here to where I'm able to do daily shows every day at a set time, get up to my 30 hours required for the month to get premium, whatever you want to call it, super awesome mega host status on Rumble. And then, Lord willing, I will be in good shape. But in the meantime, I got to test because I don't even know how well, until I get going, I've got to make sure that everything is going fine. And the funny part is I'm actually watching this while I've got the weird earpiece in my ear. I'm watching it on this other screen right now to see if it's even going live. And I don't know. I can't tell for sure if it is. I think it is. So we're going to pretend like it is and go from there. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the J.D. Rucker Show, a very special live version of today's show. We're going to be doing a few things a little bit differently. You know, I had a note sent to me over the weekend. No, sorry, it was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I had a note sent to me saying, "Hey, you know, I'm not going to get into the details. It was kind of a gushing little email saying we really need you to be there every day. And when I miss days, it seems as if I don't take this seriously. And I want to be clear, I do absolutely take this as seriously as possible. Like this is what I want to do. This is second only to, of course, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and my family. Outside of that, this is what I can do. This shows what I can do to contribute to the conversation, contribute hopefully to the world. And so that's what we're trying to do. The challenge that I have is that I have other responsibilities. And one of those responsibilities is TheLibertyDaily.com. Now, I love what I do with TLD. I am editor over there. I'm not the owner, but it is a blessing to be that editor because it gives me a tremendous reach. Like the site itself gets approximately, it keeps going up and down, mostly up, praise God. But it gets anywhere from 11 to 13 million hits per month, which is bigger than my reach on other places. So it is important for me to continue to do that. Now, as a news aggregator, I would say that it's not as potentially impactful. Let me get this out of my ear. It's not as potentially impactful as other things that I could do. For example, the show. I think this show is where I can make the biggest impact, right? The challenge, of course, is that my show is an evening show. I do things during the day. I do things in the evening. And every day, 365 days a year, I work the Liberty Daily at least at night, okay? Sometimes, on the weekends especially, I work it throughout the day as well. But at the very least, I am here on the Liberty Daily every night. Okay. I don't take a day off. And trying to run a live show, while also doing the Liberty Daily, which we do by hand, by the way. Like it's not some automated feed or anything like that. We actually do it by hand. So as a result of all this, it does make scheduling challenging. And especially if it's an unfortunate reality that the bigger the news day, you'd think that that's when I would want to do my show the most. And it is. But unfortunately, the reality is the bigger the news day, oftentimes the harder it is for me to be able to do my show because there's so much going on over in the world, and therefore so much going on over at thelibertydaily.com. Give you I know not everybody goes there, so let's go ahead and just start with that. Give you a little taste test of what I'm talking about here. This is thelibertydaily.com. We have three sections. We have the top section, which is just the most recent high-end headlines. These are the stories that are breaking. Up top, we've got Ken Paxton is running against John Cornyn. Of course, for U.S. Senate, John Cornyn being the rhino, Ken Paxton being the MAGA man, the Attorney General over there. He's gone through a whole lot, very similar. His path has been almost a microcosm of President Trump's. Did Venezuela invade America in secret? That's a very interesting take by Emerald Robinson, independent journalist Emerald Robinson, on her Substack. Todd Starnes reporting that KFC sells chicken-flavored toothpaste. Let me repeat that. KFC is selling chicken-flavored toothpaste. Let's go take a look at that article. I got to see it. Got to know what's going on. Oh, no, that's Venezuela. It's Emerald Robinson. Here we go. Toothpaste. According to the article by Todd Starnes, KFC sells chicken-flavored toothpaste. Kentucky Fried Chicken has launched a new chicken-flavored toothpaste. KFC says the flavors are inspired by Colonel Sanders and his original 11 herbs and spices. The fast food chain releasing a statement celebrating the news, like biting into a hot, juicy piece of KFC original recipe chicken. This toothpaste is irresistible, coating your teeth in flavor before leaving your mouth feeling fresh and clean. KFC is partnering with toothpaste manufacturer His Smile, that's neat, to produce the poultry paste, $13 a tube, and it's apparently a big hit. They've already sold out of this morning, as of this morning. This started as an April Fool's joke, but we thought, why not make it real? The marketing department said, we love pushing boundaries, and what better way to do that than by bringing KFC's legendary flavors into an everyday essential? This collab is bold, unexpected, and seriously fun. You can also buy a KFC electric toothbrush for $59. Finger licking gross. And yeah, yeah. I'm not even going to go there. Not touching that one with a 10-foot pole. President Trump zings Trader Joe after signing an order to remove Biden regime's restrictions on coal plants. Yeah, you get the idea. Let me put it just on the screen itself. There we go. So that's the top section. Just the biggest or second biggest in most cases, biggest or second biggest stories of the moment, right? Then we've got the headline section. Generally, it's going to be two. Okay. Sometimes it'll be one. Sometimes it'll be three. Big news days with a lot of stories. It might be 4 or 5. We don't have a set limit here. It's not like we're the Sith or anything. But in this case, the two big headlines, it was a mistake for China to retaliate. We're getting ready for here in a few hours will be the 104% tariffs leveled against China. And then Kristi Noem dodges kicks from an illegal alien criminal as she leads ICE deportation raids in Phoenix. And yes, for those who think, this is all for show, just prop, she gets her hair done, and she wears the hat and blah, 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 blah. That's true. That's fine. It is sort of all for show, except that she is actually, she's not just a Second Amendment advocate when she was governor, not just playing pretend or playing ice Barbie. No, she actually knows how to use firearms. She actually has fired firearms, as she so famously noted in her book when she was killing things. And then we get to the bottom section. This is the columns. We got column 1, column 2, column 3. Everything that's up top, everything that goes in the headlines will eventually make its way down to here. So that is that. Yeah, and we do a lot of videos. We do all that good stuff. That is the deal there. Now, what I do, my role at the Liberty Daily as editor and running it solo at night, is I'm supposed to go through the feeds, go through everything. Again, we do it manually. So I go through by hand and I find the most important stories that need to be addressed, right? need to be seen by as many people as possible. Sometimes these stories will get hundreds of views. Usually they'll get thousands of views. Sometimes they'll get tens of thousands of views. We're not like the Drudge Report of the old days where, oh my gosh, you hear the front page of Drudge and you got 300,000 views. Those days are behind us. Nobody has that kind of power anymore the way that Matt Drudge did. And it's mostly because there's a lot of division. You got Kane over at Citizen Free Press. You've got Darren and Amy over at Revolver News. You've got Bongino's got his own aggregator. There's Rantingly. I think there's a few others out there. And so we're all split. Plus, there's still people that for whatever reason still go to Drudge Report, even though they've gone far left. So before Drudge had the market cornered, now it's been diversified. It's split up between a lot of people, and so nobody has the old power that Drudge has. But I think that a few of us, and I consider all of them to be good patriots, great friends, So I say that I've never actually worked with Bongino's team. Oh no, I take that back. I have. That's incorrect. I have actually worked with a member, an editor over there before. So yeah, you get the idea. You know the thing. So yeah, but I think that it is important to do this, and this is why sometimes it is challenging for me to get out there and do my show every night. It's very challenging to do it live because sitting here for an hour and a half, 2 hours at a time is difficult because I've got to be working. Okay. The stories don't stop just because I'm live on air. Sometimes the stories actually get bigger, better, more important. And that's why tonight we're going to try something different. I'm going to work. I'm going to do the Liberty Daily, do my thing on here, just like I would normally do. And, see where it takes us. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is going to be super boring. Could be. We will see. We're going to take the opportunity to find out. One of the things, we do post lots of videos, and I will to give me a reprieve so that I can fix the whatever you want to call it, adjust the screens and look at stories ahead of time, because we're going into this live, by the way. So these stories that I'm going to be picking out from the feed, you guys are going to watch me, are going to experience them at the same time that I am. And then we'll decide, is this a top story? Is this a headline? Is that big? Is it column 1? Is it column 2, column 3? Each one having, column 1 will get, say, you figure top will get about 80%. If the two headlines, the 1 to 3 headlines, but usually 2 headlines, if those ones get, say, 100% coverage, in other words, 100% of the people that go to TheLibertyDaily.com at any given moment, they're going to see the headlines. 99%, we'll say. You got about 95% are going to see the top section, 90 to 95%. Then you get down to the columns. You got about 70% will see column 1, 50, even 40% will see column 2, and about 20 or 30% will see column 3. The reason being, it's because of the way the mobile works. Mobile, it takes the columns like if you go there on desktop, you get to see the top of column 1 and the top of column 2 and the top of column 3, right? They're all in a line. Whereas on mobile, you got to go all the way down to the bottom of column 1. So dozens of stories before you get to the top of column 2. That's why there's such a drop off. That's why it's so important. When I'm looking at a story and deciding how important is this, how interesting is it? Is this something that people will want to know? Well, yeah, you get the idea. So in making that decision, I use that to determine, do I put this in column, top, headlines, column 1, column 2, column 3. Okay. That's my process. And that's what I have to go through every night and the occasional day. Some of the things we do post will be videos. For example, I noted Ken Paxton is running against John Cornyn. Let's just do it live. Let's go ahead and play that.
Now, Mr. Attorney General, you have a big announcement, I understand, you want to make tonight. What is it?
Well, first of all, I'm excited to be on your show to do this. It's a great place to do it.
Trying to play it.
Now, Mr. Attorney General, you have a big announcement, I understand, you want to make tonight. What is it?
Well, first of all, I'm excited to be on your show to do this. It's a great place to do it. I'm announcing that I'm running for U.S. Senate against John Cornyn, who apparently is running again for his 5th term, which would put him there 3 decades. It's definitely time for a change in Texas. We have another great U.S. Senator, Ted Cruz, And it's time we have another great senator that will actually stand up and fight for Republican values, fight for the values of the people of Texas, and also support Donald Trump, in the areas that he's focused on in a very significant way. And that's what I plan on doing. And I hope that people will go to my website and look at what we're doing at kenpaxton.com and obviously contribute as well.
Well, you wouldn't be surprised to know that Senator Cornyn has responded to rumors that you might run. Watch.
Obviously, when you run for office, you get your papers graded. In my case, once every 6 years. And I'm looking forward to having that conversation. And a little competition is okay, too.
Well, he's up for the competition.
Look, he said 24 years of this, which I think is plenty given his lack of production. It's hard to think of the things that he's done good for Texas or for the country. I can certainly point to many things like his gun restrictions, his lack of wanting to fund a border wall and disagreeing with President Trump on that, and even opposing President Trump's election in 2016 and the most recent election. So there's certainly many things to focus on that he has not done, and I think it's time that somebody held him accountable for that.
Now,
So, in case you didn't know, we are trying, and I am not an expert when it comes to running this studio. I usually use OBS. That's what I've been using for a long time. I've gotten pretty accustomed to it. But when it comes to Rumble Studio, I'm still learning it. And there's the biggest challenge is that you sort of kind of have to go live in order to practice, right? You can't. Yeah, I've thought about maybe hooking it up to some other account or whatever and seeing playing around with it. So I gain experience the more shows that I do, but unfortunately I have to do them live in order to even see if it's going to work. So, and again, I'm not dogging on Rumble at all. Okay, this is a Rucker issue. I'm sure if I would just put in the time and really put in the money to get me a full-blown producer. We've talked to so many of them lately, and I appreciate all of them. Maybe someday we will be able to get us a full-blown producer again. But in the meantime, I have to self-produce. Rumble does give us the ability, just as OBS does, give us the ability to be able to self-produce if necessary. Now, what I want to do, the intention here, is to build up the show to the point that it can basically, I'll just be blunt, make it to where I can afford a producer, because I've tried cheap producers. They suck. Okay. I've had great producers. They're awesome, but they're expensive. That's sort of how greatness works, right? That's very similar to what we're going to be seeing here soon with the tariffs. President Trump is doing what's best for the United States of America by putting out these tariffs. Now, as a result, there are going to be certain industries, certain products, certain companies, certain areas, certain everything that will go up in price. And that's going to perpetuate in some cases. Okay. There is going to be a bringing home, so to speak, of the production. And as a result, some, not all, everybody's like, oh, everything that's built here is going to be more expensive. That's not true. Okay. There are certain things where it actually will prove out to be far less, maybe not far less, but less expensive, or at least the same price to produce it here as it has been to produce it elsewhere and then to import it, right? Some things, it's not going to be like that. When it comes to, like, for example, apparel, okay, there's a reason why Nike and all these other companies, they have their shoes made in like Thailand and other places like that, Vietnam. The reason being is because they really, because it's labor intensive, those types of products are going to be more expensive to produce here in the United States of America, which means the chances are those companies are going to accept the tariffs, hope that that an agreement is made between those countries where their production is and the United States, so that we can have, once again, have fair trade that's free. Yeah, I don't like calling it technically free trade, but it's not protectionist either. If it's done the right way, what President Trump is trying to get to is, let's use protectionism and his tenets of fair trade to get to the point to where we're at fair trade that's free. Because right now, the way that, unfortunately, a lot of people are defining free trade, don't keep in mind, for those who don't know, I have always been My entire adult life, I've been a free trade absolutist up until the point to where I started realizing that many of the tenets of people that I greatly respect, like Milton Friedman, there's been a change, a paradigm shift in the global economy, and it's made it to where we can no longer just say, okay, so we're going to charge minimal tariffs. We're going to trade with this country that's charging us huge tariffs, and it's okay because those dollars are going to filter back into the United States eventually anyway. That's not how it works anymore. That used to be how it would work. Didn't matter if they bought, if they would produce something in Taiwan, they would be selling it here, getting dollars, and then spending those dollars here anyway. So the economy would still benefit even if there was an imbalance in trade. That's not the case. That just doesn't work anymore. And it hasn't worked for over 2 decades. This is why you've seen so many production capabilities, production facilities, manufacturing facilities here in the United States shutting down after years, decades of doing business. That's why we've seen the decimation of Detroit, the decimation of cities in Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania. And it's not just automotive, it's manufacturing across the board. Well, things are changing, and that's what President Trump wants to change. Again, the idea is that we can only get to proper, modern, free trade by getting a fair deal from these countries. That's why, the pain, we're about to feel pain. Get ready. The pain is coming, folks. The pain is coming when it comes to these tariffs against China. The reciprocal tariffs that started off as reciprocal. China retaliated. We're retaliating back here in about 4 hours? 2 hours. What is it? Is it midnight Eastern it takes place? Yeah. So an hour and a half, we'll say. Hour and a half. New tariffs go into effect. That'll bump it up to 104%. Wow. I mean, it's going to kill, at least we'll call it, make the trade relationship between the United States and China, it will put it on ice. It will become cost prohibitive for many companies to import from China. And hopefully, Lord willing, this is going to be a very temporary thing. But here's the thing. Let's say it's not. Let's say this drags out into a protracted trade war for days, weeks, months. And I would say years, except at that point, it would become permanent. If this drags out for, let's say, 8 or 9 months, then it will, at that point, neither country will be able to do business with each other pretty much anymore, for the most part. That's not across the board, but most of the, we can't just sit back and not get whatever, right? A lot of companies are trying to mitigate the damage, trying to get their stuff out of China as quickly as possible. Apple had 5 cargo planes full of iPhones shipped out of China ahead of the deadline, stuff like that. But that's not going to be able to last. And as a result, both sides will end up finding new partners for both imports and exports. That's what I'm saying. It could be days. It could be weeks. It could be, it almost certainly will be months, to be clear. I would say we're at about 60, 70% chance this is going to last at least 1 month, if not more. But if it gets into many months, before it gets to a year, after, say, 7 or 8 months of this, then at that point, there will be no returning to the old way. Okay. There will, even if they cut tariffs to 0 across the board for both, in both directions, that we'll never go back to what we had before. And this is not going to be very popular to hear, especially if you work in an industry or for companies that depend upon China. But if that's the case, I'm okay with that. I've long said that we shouldn't be so dependent on a nation whose leaders want to destroy us. The Chinese Communist Party wants to destroy the United States of America. Okay, they don't come out and openly say that, but they do. And if we're being very honest here, which we should always be, there are many people in the United States government that would like to see the Chinese Communist Party destroyed as well. We have been enemies for a long time. frenemies, I guess is the best way to put it, because there are certain things where we try to be friendly with each other. We try to work together. It's sort of like the two big boys on the block. They can still for you youngsters, this might not make any sense to you, but they can still meet on like the basketball court and the neighborhood basketball court, and they're captain of one team, the other guy's captain of the other team. They get their teams together and they play. Sometimes one wins, sometimes the other wins. Maybe one's taller, the other one's better shooter. I don't know. That used to be that's sort of where we're at, right? Except it's going to change. Now, if China does pull back quickly, if they do, I had to put it like this because I don't want to egg them on, but if they do bow to President Trump's demands, if they come to the table and come to a fair trade agreement between the two countries sooner rather than later, then yeah, we could go not necessarily back to the way things were, but we can go to an arrangement that is beneficial for both nations. Right now, as of today, leading up to Liberation Day, it has been full-blown, truly, 95% of the benefit between the relationship has gone to China. And what is our benefit? In certain cases, we get cheaper goods. But China has always been a crutch. It's a convenience. It's not a necessity, except for certain areas. We have been very remiss, for example, when it comes to rare earths, when it comes to pharmaceutical ingredients, when it comes to those types of things. We have allowed ourselves to become beholden to them. But for pretty much everything else, it's by choice. It's a convenience. They're big. They got lots and lots of people, lots and lots of land, lots and lots of whatever. And so it's just a lot easier regulations-wise to work with them. And then you've got the fringe benefits of also having access to the consumers over there, which there's a whole lot of them. It sort of made sense to deal with them. But I would say that in the near future, it's not going to be like that at all. In the near future, I think that we're going to see big changes. Steel industry, for example. Jake Tapper had a guest on. And I need to find this guy because I've now seen him. I saw he was on Fox News. He was obviously on CNN. And I want to get him on my show. But let's go ahead and play this clip while I get ready for more fun and action over at TheLibertyDaily.com.
We absolutely have had a couple people anxious about the stock market. But again, our goal is that we're going to sell millions more dollars, so we have to hire many more people. If we do that, we're going to hire them at very good jobs, with very good pay, wonderful benefits with the 401k match. True, there's some companies that have been buying T-shirts from Vietnam and China, and they're going to have to pay a couple more bucks for a T-shirt. And then the American consumer is going to have to pay more for a T-shirt. That's obviously not pleasant for those American consumers. But I think there's going to be an overwhelming surge of hiring in America as things level out, as American factories ramp up and people have to hire talent, buy machines. We've invested money in buying new machines because we're so enthusiastic, so optimistic about the future. That's going to start happening throughout the nation, and people are going to be leaning into the future. This is a very exciting time for the American manufacturing worker. We're going to be able to pull people from poverty into the middle class that used to not have an avenue. They had no shot at getting into the middle class. We're going to be able to offer them a shot.
Great stuff there. And poor Jake Tapper, at one point I thought maybe he was going to cry, but to his credit, he claims he's not a leftist, by the way. To his credit, he didn't jump in there and try to interrupt. I think a lot of hosts at CNN or MSNBC or maybe even Fox News would try to interrupt the guy and derail his message, his pro-American, industrial, pro-American industry stance. They might have tried to throw him off. Jake Tapper did not. So again, good kudos to him for that. Let's go ahead and look at some of these stories that let's do a round. We call it a round when I find a story that'll go in column 1, column 2, column 3 sometimes. Find a story that'll go into headline or the top section. The story comes from Breitbart. Breitbart. Schweizer says 4 things to consider in tariff panic. Now, I saw this video. It's a good video. It's a long one, but we are going to go ahead and post it. Yeah, I mean, it's tariff panic week, as he put it, and he is absolutely correct. So let's grab it. 4 things to consider, and let's go ahead and just make it live. I'm going to put this one in column 3 because it's not that big of a deal, but it's good information. So we'll put that over on TheLibertyDaily.com. Gina Carano just got one step closer to winning against Disney. And this is a segment of Glenn Beck's podcast. Not as well, both. He does it on both. Gina Carano, of course, was with Disney for a while on The Mandalorian, and then she was terminated because of stupid stuff, woke stuff. Well, Glenn was talking to another woman who also sued Disney, sued Disney in the form of ESPN, and that is Sage Steele, another strong and I would say very, very amazing conservative journalist that is starting to come around more and more and more. She was at ESPN, and her narrative, her beliefs were stifled. So yeah, she decided to leave there. So let's get that moved over. I like Gina Carano, by the way. I don't watch, for those who don't, maybe you're new to the channel, I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I don't watch any movies anymore, barely any. I would see, what was the last movie I watched? I don't even know. Oh, you know what? We tried to have a fun night with my wife, and I had tried to have a fun night watching that Glenn Powell movie where he's like, it's a true story about how he was like an undercover, something or another, trying to catch whatever. It got like a 96 or 97 on Rotten Tomatoes, and we watched, and it wasn't that funny. It was a comedy that wasn't very funny at all. It was just a reminder of, wow, the standards in Hollywood have just gone downhill so much over the years. This is a story actually we're going to get into. Let's pull this one up on the screen. Let's see. Let's go full screen on that one. Biden White House secured Trump's phone for the FBI in the January 6th probe, according to a new email from Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson, senators. This comes to us from justthenews.com. New whistleblower email also shows that a future member of Special Counsel Jack Smith's team and an anti-Trump FBI agent were closely involved in the origins of the FBI probe. Dum dum dum. And it's funny because this is breaking news. This is new information that we didn't have before, but zero people are surprised. Not on the left, not on the right, not in the center. Nobody is thinking, oh my gosh, wait a second, stop. You're telling me that members of Joe Biden's Justice Department were trying to get Donald Trump? No way. I thought that legacy media told us that was a conspiracy theory. They did, but still nobody believed it. According to the article, Senate Judiciary Chair Chuck Grassley and Senator Ron Johnson published new emails from FBI whistleblowers showing that President Joe Biden's then Deputy White House Counsel Jonathan Su personally assisted the FBI in securing President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence's cell phones to assist the nascent Arctic frost investigations over January 6th. The new whistleblower email also show that a future member of Special Counsel Jack Smith's team and an anti-Trump FBI agent were closely involved in the origins of the FBI probe. Operation Arctic Frost formed the basis of former Special Counsel Jack Smith's false elector case, under which former President Donald Trump, at the time former president, was later charged with a conspiracy to defraud the United States for his campaign's attempts to assemble alternate slates of electors under claims that the 2020 election had been stolen, which it was. The new emails are contained in a letter that senators sent to Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel, urging cooperation with their requests for all information related to the FBI probe. According to the letter, overall, these newly discovered emails show the extensive collaboration between and among select FBI agents from the Washington field office and prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office, Washington, D.C., to plan, approve, and execute Arctic Frost. The emails also provide further support that ASAC Tybalt played a central role in advancing its approval to a full field criminal investigation when other agents had concerns the supporting evidence only allowed for a preliminary investigation. In other words, very similar to We can go all the way back to the Obama years when they first started trying to go after Trump and Papadopoulos and all those guys. Basically, evidence, scant, questionable, unreliable evidence was used as the basis for full-blown investigations, not because anybody actually thought that there were crimes committed, but because of the targets, because of President Trump. I forgot who said it, but somebody said, show me the person, I'll show you the crime. You try to dig into anybody at any point, and you'll be able to manufacture a crime, whether they committed one or not. We've seen this time and time again against President Trump. It's so sad. It really is. Extraordinarily sad that we live in a world right now where the guilty seem to be able to get away with anything, and the innocent get harassed, oftentimes get jailed. I mean, just look at what happened with the J6 political prisoners. Praise God that President Trump pardoned them. But prior to that, let's say that God forbid, let's say President Trump hadn't won. There would still be people today in jail who did nothing more than walk through a public building. There would still be people today in jail who didn't even do that much. They were trying to jail people for decades who weren't even there at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. And yet you have actual, real, legitimate, demonstrable, provable criminals who get away with it, who have nothing, no concerns, no worries. Okay, I mean, look at Hunter Biden. Look at Anthony Fauci. Look at Liz Cheney. I'm not saying that they have been convicted of any crimes. I'm saying that the evidence, a preponderance of evidence, tells us that at the very least they should all be investigated. And I know that Hunter Biden already was. I'm talking about for further crimes. What about James Biden? What about Joe Biden? I mean, there are people out there free today, no concerns whatsoever, even though they definitely, clearly committed crimes. The best way for you to stay on top of everything that's happening, everything that affects us, whether it's through the deep state, through our economy, we can look at predictive models through artificial intelligence. I don't think it's there yet. I've seen some AI prediction models that are just absolutely way off, but you can still trust, I think, in many cases, the right people. I'm not talking about people like who was it? Jim Cramer last week or over the weekend. He was like, it's going to be Black Monday all over again, and it wasn't. Stock market is still going to be, I mean, because of the challenges with China, we're still going to have massive fluctuations in the stock market, up and down, up and down, up and down. But it will recover. The one thing that we can say for sure about the stock market is that it does go down. It crashes. It has corrections every 18 to 24 months. It goes into the full-blown bull territory every 2, 3, 4 years, right? But it always comes back. And this one will come back as well. Knowing what's happening, whether it's with gold, with crypto, with the stock market, with the deep state, the best way to stay on top of that is to go through people like, for example, Jim Rickards, former CIA analyst. You can go to jdrucker.com/crisis, jdrucker.com/crisis, and learn how you can get his newsletter and all that other good stuff. Speaking of the economy, we look at tariffs. Tariffs are one leg, and Stephen Morin, working with the Trump economic team, he detailed the 3 legs that he knows of. I would say there's actually 6, maybe technically 7 legs. I'll talk about that on a future show, but this is a good layman's explanation about how the tariffs are just one part of a much bigger picture.
And what I would say is, again, to remind people that there are three legs to the stool. One is trade renegotiation. The other two are deregulation and tax reform. And those are still in the pipeline. We're waiting on Congress to extend the president's historic tax cuts from 2017, which will sort of preserve low marginal rates in American workers and firms. But on top of that, what we experienced in Liberation Day was a roughly 13 percentage point rise in the effective tariff rate on all imports, and that's going to create enormous amounts of revenue, hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue that can be used to provide additional tax relief for Americans. And the president has been pretty clear laying out certain forms of the tax relief, and I think that there's scope to go even further than that. I personally would like to. However, it depends on what Congress works out and negotiates with the president on that. I don't always get, I'm not the president, right? The president is the one who will decide in collaboration with Congress. But I think that using that revenue for additional tax relief would be a fantastic outcome. I think that deregulation is underway, and that the combination of making America more competitive via tariffs with making it easier to build and invest and hire here is a fantastic outcome. And when you look ahead to the future, there's going to be an America that's the best place in the world to do business, because the tariffs make it competitive, deregulation makes it easy, and tax reform makes it efficient. And tax reform keeps more money in people's pockets, makes it easier to hire, easier to invest, and those are all great things. And the markets will look forward to that. Markets should be forward-looking. Yeah.
Whoops. One thing I got to remember. I'm sitting here. Just got my coffee. Got to remember that beautiful part. And I like this. I'm not complaining. But I got to remind myself that as soon as the video's done, whatever I'm playing, it's going to cut straight back to me. So, hey, howdy. All right. So let's take that story, by the way, about the Biden White House, and let's get that moved over to TheLibertyDaily.com. This particular story. Let's see. We're just going to take this part of it. And let's go ahead and put it up at the top. I like to capitalize everything appropriately. We're not going to call it the Biden White House. We call him Trader Joe. Trader Joe's White House secured Trump's phone for FBI. Let me make sure. Okay. Just want to make sure that I don't already have that story. I guess it's possible. I could have had the story before. Nope, didn't have it before. We do the morning shift. I try to read through every story that they do in the mornings. But I do sometimes get, because my challenge is I read all the stories, or at least all the headlines, good chunk of the stories. And as a result, sometimes I will miss a, I will think, because I've read a story, I will think that it had already been posted over the Liberty Daily, and it had not. So yeah, so that does happen from time to time. Pete Hegseth today, he said there was a huge Trump-Hegseth win as U.S.-Panama jointly affirmed shift from China, secure canal traffic, address migration. This comes to us from thenationalpulse.com. U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth met with Panamanian President Jose Raul Molino and Panama Canal Authority Administrator Rucker Vasquez today, reaffirming and expanding U.S.-Panama security cooperation. U.S. and Panama are rebooting their strategic partnership, ditching China's influence and locking in a robust security upgrade centered on the Panama Canal, the National Post can report. In a high-level meeting on April 8th, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth joined Panamanian President and Panama Canal Authority Administrator in Panama City to reaffirm their decades-long security relationship. At the core of the new commitment, boosting joint military training, strengthening cyber and maritime defense, and streamlining military vessel passage through the canal. Now, let's be clear. So part of the agreement, part of the arrangement that was made between the United States and Panama 100 years ago centered around defense, and the United States military has the obligation to defend the Panama Canal. It's not just an obligation. We would want to do that anyways. We consider it to be our privilege to say it will be us who defends it. If there's any challenges, we're the ones who defend it. Now, people ask, somebody asked me recently, a couple weeks ago, What is the big deal if China uses the canal, we use the canal, everybody else uses the canal? What's the big deal about it if there are Chinese companies there at both sides of of both ports, both ends of the canal? What's the big deal? Okay, it's not like they're going through and sinking our ships or blocking our ships from going through. The reality is this: is that the biggest reason. There's two big reasons. You can call them big reason one, big reason 1A. But the big reason 1A, or big reason one, this is so important to us, is because by controlling both sides, and even if they only controlled one side, to be clear, of the canal, that gives China direct insight into what's being shipped. Okay, it allows them to scan our boats, to know, and not just our boats, but everybody's boats, to know what's coming in and out. And this information can be used against us. And that's assuming that there's nothing truly nefarious going on. That's already bad enough for them to be able to inspect, scan, and gather information and data about us, about our trading partners, about what's coming in, what's going out, right? That's bad enough. But what if they went nefarious? What if they really, started, for example, manipulating, changing some of the things that are being shipped in? We like to say, oh, that could never happen, except, yeah, it sort of kind of could, and it probably already is happening. We've seen that China has a very clear willingness to try to get an advantage, even through very wrong and even illegal ways, try to get an advantage over us, try to sneak in malware or spyware into technology, trying to put kill switches on this, that, or the other, trying to just trace and track where a lot of this stuff is going. Let's say it's something of critical nature that's going through the Panama Canal. They want to be able to maybe slap a tracker on it or alert their satellites or whatever. There's a whole lot that they are currently doing as a result of this arrangement that China has had, this control, really, that China has had over the Panama Canal. Of course, the second reason, we'll call it the big reason 1A, is that if things do go south between the United States and China, the last people you want to be controlling the Panama Canal would be China. For them to have the ability to defend and shut it down, to stop us from using it, to stop our allies from using it, that could be the difference between victory and defeat. So yes, it is. I'm very happy that Secretary of Defense Hegseth went down, reaffirmed our commitment, solidified our stance, and made sure that, as a reminder, that, hey, we, the United States of America, we are the defenders of the canal. And don't forget that if we feel, and this is our prerogative based on the agreement, that if we feel that the Panama Canal is threatened, we can militarily take it back over. That's part of the agreement that we have with Panama. Of course, we don't want that to happen. Maybe we sort of do want it to happen. We don't really want it to happen. It would be nice to have full control over it, but in a realistic world, that's not going to happen. So at least having a strengthened relationship, booting China out of there, and us having both military and logistical control over the Panama Canal, that is ideal. That's what we want. Let's see. I don't even know if this story may or may not have made it into. No, yeah, we already have that one. So I'm gonna not publish that one over the Liberty Daily. I clicked through to it, by the way, earlier because it's an important story. All right. Here's unfortunately a very poignant one right now. Mahmoud Khalil. This drama has been so stupid. It really has been. I mean, this is a guy that came into the United States on a visa and decided to go against the United States. He does not have the right to remain here and fight us. That's stupid. We're the only nation where this would even be considered a possibility. Every other nation in the world, if you bring in a visitor and that visitor goes against you, fights you, goes against your schools, his own school, I mean, it's ludicrous. And yet here we are. Okay, well, he should have the right. No, he shouldn't. But what is the latest development? This comes from John Sexton over at Hot Air. Judge gives Trump administration 24 hours to show proof of Mahmoud Khalil is a Hamas supporter. He is. He's declared it. But hey, this should be easy, by the way. This should be, I'm hopeful that they'll be able to just do it. Just show, hey, here it is. Here he is. Whatever. The immigration judge overseeing the case of Mahmoud Khalil has demanded the government turn over evidence of his support for Hamas, a designated terror group, within the next 24 hours. If they fail to do so, the judge said she would release Khalil on Friday. According to this, the news part comes from the Associated Press. At a hearing Tuesday in Louisiana, Judge Jamie Comins gave the government 24 hours to provide evidence showing that Khalil, a 30-year-old legal permanent resident, should be expelled from the country for his role in campus protests against Israel and the war in Gaza. If the evidence does not support his removal, she said, then I am going to terminate the case on Friday. At Tuesday's hearing, an attorney for Khalil, Mark Vanderhout, said he had not received a single document in response to his request for evidence and assertions in the case. We cannot plead until we know what the specific allegations are. I'm like you, Mr. Vanderhout. I'd like to see the evidence, according to the judge. There really is no doubt that CUAD, the group that which organized and led protests on campus, supports Hamas. I've covered this before. I won't repeat it all, but the New York Times has reported on the group's statements endorsing violence, including Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel. CUAID, or AD, USAID, no. CUAD held a teach-in led by Hamas supporters from Samadown and has praised other terror attacks on Israeli citizens. They have also praised and held memorials for Yahya Sinwar, the now deceased mastermind of the October 7 attack. CUAID's off-campus allies also support Hamas and have claimed they were inspired by them. So there's really no doubt that this group is pro-terrorism, pro-Hamas, anti-Israel, and anti-America as well. There's also no doubt that Mahmoud Khalil repeatedly acted as a go-between for CUAD with the university and has been seen as a leader of the group. Even after his graduation, he was present at the library takeover, which CUAD instigated last month. Here he is, once again, acting as a spokesperson and holding a bullhorn. Now, the unfortunate reality that we're faced with, as not just as in this particular situation, but as a nation, is that evidence is in the eye of the beholder. I don't think we saw even a better example of this than what we saw with the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit against President Trump. There was nothing there. There was no evidence. There was nothing. Absolutely nothing. You had one lady who's legitimately crazy. I mean, she's gone on CNN and acted absolutely crazy, making claims from decades ago with zero evidence. And yet somehow that zero evidence translated into a judgment against President Trump. Evidence is in the eye of the efficacy and effectiveness of evidence is in the eye of the beholder, and perhaps more importantly, in the eye of the beholder's ideology. I don't know what evidence they have to show to prove that Mahmoud Khalil is anti-American and has used his status here in the United States to go after institutions of the United States. This is a clear-cut case. And he's part of an organization that supports a terrorist group. A terrorist group that, by the way, has said on multiple occasions that they want to kill Americans. A terrorist group that, oh, by the way, has killed Americans very recently. So for this judge and for his attorney and for Mahmoud Khalil himself to question whether or not he's demonstrated support That's like somebody walking up to you, smacking you across the face as hard as they can, and saying, "Where's the evidence that I assaulted you? I didn't see any evidence. You can't give any evidence." Oh, well, no, we can. We have it on video. We have a video of you walking up to this person and smacking them in the face. And then the person and the judge and everybody else is like, what? You can't use that. That's not real proof. That's not evidence. That doesn't say anything. That's how blatantly obvious it is. The Mahmoud Khalil is pro-Hamas. The Mahmoud Khalil is anti-American. And yet it's still in question. And I would argue the chances are pretty strong that he's going to this judge is going to have him released. It's the stupidest thing. Let's see, where do we want to put this one? Let's put this in column 2 because this is an important story. I'm going to put it in red and take it from there. I am going to grab me a coffee, but while I do that, I'm going to play for you. I would say this is probably top 50 funniest moments for President Trump. The guy has comedic chops for sure. And at the whichever White House correspondent, some dinner, I don't follow those. They're dumb. But I did watch part of his speech, and he goes after Adam Schiff, and it's absolutely brutal to watch.
And that's with all of the difficulties and all of the fake investigations and the Adam Shifty Schiffs. Can you believe this guy? He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen. And the biggest head. We call him watermelon head. I'd say, how could that big fat face stand on a neck that looked like this finger? How can it? It was the weirdest thing. It's a mystery. Nobody can understand it. But he's one of the most dishonest human beings I've ever seen. And, how we can allow people like that to run in office is a shame, but we did. He was in charge of the witch hunt. He was in charge of the fake witch hunt with Russia. It was a made-up story. Made up. Think of it. They make up a story. They know it's made up. It's gone on for a year and a half, 2 years. Russia. I knew nothing about it. The only thing I knew was that I taxed the pipeline that I told you about, that I put all sorts of sanctions and everything else. They never had a problem like they had with me. But it was Russia, constant, as a method of, what they did is that was the complaint about why she lost an election, because crooked Hillary was expected to win the election. But they didn't see what we saw. We saw the biggest crowds in history gathering, only superseded by the crowds we just had. But here's a guy that goes out, and he goes to an intelligence hearing or whatever you might call it, and it's supposed to be secret. He'd walk out. He'd either make a call off the record, this is crooked Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff. He's a shifty Adam. Or he'd just go out blatantly and have a news conference. And because it had to do with me and my family, he'd go out and have a news conference. And he said, you've got to remember, he knows it's a hoax because he made it up with crooked Hillary. So he knows it's a hoax because we're dealing with human beings on the other side. He'd say, Donald Trump Jr., the son of the President of the United States, will spend many years in prison because of what he's done with Russia. Now, think of that statement on a human basis. I have a young son, who is being told that he's going for prison on something he doesn't even know what they're talking about. He said, Dad, I don't know what's going on. They keep talking about I'm involved with Russia. I don't know anything about Russia, I swear to you, Dad. And yet, Adam Schiff goes out and makes a statement about a hoax that he made up, that he knows is false. How bad a human being do you have to be? They put my son and my family through that kind of trauma. These are bad people. These are sick degenerates. And
crazy stuff. He is, like I said, he's fearless. And I will admit Not that this is a big admission, but I love second-term President Trump so much more than first-term President Trump. He doesn't seem to care. He cares about America, but he doesn't seem to care about what other people think about him. Not nearly as much as he did in his first term, and that makes him far more powerful, in my humble opinion, as a leader. Speaking of power, with the stock market challenge that we've been seeing, if you think the stock market is going to go up, go down, go wherever, it's going to fluctuate greatly, for sure, based upon the challenges we're seeing, especially with the China tariffs that are coming here in an hour? It's like literally an hour from now, China tariffs go up to like 104%, and that's going to be crazy. And it is going to affect the stock market. I'm not saying it's going to go up or down. I'm not a financial advisor, but I think it would behoove certain people, certain Americans who want to find security for their retirement, security for their life's savings, to get into physical precious metals as the way to do that. And for me, at least, the best way to do that is to go to jdrgold.com. jdrgold.com. My good friends will be able to help you to do a tax-free rollover or transfer from your current retirement accounts, old retirement accounts that are stuck in the fluctuating stock market, move them over and get them backed by physical precious metals. jdrgold.com. And I've been working with them for forever. Let's see. This is one, we're going to get into a story here that I actually don't know. It's hit or miss. It really is hit or miss. I hate to admit it, but I love Michael Snyder. Michael Snyder, he runs endoftheamericandream.com. He runs the economiccollapseblog.com. He's been getting more and more hit or miss lately. Used to be he was pretty rock solid with his projections, his predictions. Lately, I've had to kind of withhold some of his stuff. So we're going to see together, you and me, we're doing it live. We're going to see if this particular story about Iran is something that is worthy of TheLibertyDaily.com or not. And we'll discuss it. 8 signs that the bombing of Iran could be coming very soon. Now, I personally feel like it's not going to come. I really do. I think that while they are, of course, President Trump is bombing the crap out of the Houthis, Iran's proxies, and that is a good sign, I would say. Good is probably the wrong word to put it. Wait, hold on real quick. Let me clarify that real quick. I'm not in favor of really military interactions of any sort unless there's a purpose. Now, we can argue that there's definitely a purpose for going after the Houthis after they have gone after us, tried to control shipping over in their area, their neck of the woods. That's bad, obviously. So I can see some justification for going after them. But here, there is a secondary aspect to this, and something that I'm sure the Trump administration has taken into great account when it comes to dealing with Iran, when it comes to trying to prevent Iran from acquiring or developing nuclear weapons capabilities. Well, having a president that he's willing to drop bombs on you if you make him upset, that's a good thing. It really is. And I don't think, I don't have it. Darn it. See, I was going to play for you a little thing with some, I forget, who was it? It was, oh goodness. Michael Oren, I think it was, former Israeli ambassador to the U.S., who came out and said that, yeah, that's right. And CNN had asked him, basically, why is President Trump somehow going to be able to get a better nuclear deal than Barack Obama got with the original Iran nuclear deal? And the way that he explained it was, with President Trump, Iran actually knows that there are consequences. With President Trump, compared to Barack Obama, they know, the Ayatollah knows, the mullahs know, the government of Iran knows, and the military commanders definitely know that there are going to be consequences if they don't act appropriately. With the original Iran nuclear deal under Barack Obama, it was lip service. They knew it. Barack Obama knew it. And the world knew it. But they thought, oh, well, it's better than nothing. In this scenario, we actually have an opportunity to get what I believe to be an actual, real, legitimate Iran nuclear deal with President Trump and his team leading the charge there. So, with that said, let's see. 8 signs, this is by Michael Snyder over at End of the American Dream, 8 signs that the bombing of Iran could be coming very soon. According to the article, if bombs start falling on Iran's nuclear facilities, it would instantly be the biggest news story of 2025 so far. Iranian air defense would need to be neutralized first, and that would be quite an extensive operation all by itself. Subsequently, destroying Iran's nuclear facilities would be extraordinarily difficult because many of them are very deep underground. Now, I'm going to stop him right there. Let me stop you right there, Mike. So, number one, it would not be very difficult to neutralize Iran's air defenses. They have certain air defenses provided to them by Russia that are formidable, but the vast majority of them are not. Vast majority. I mean, Iran operates off very, very old, antiquated technologies, military technology. The weapons that they use, generally speaking, aren't very good. This is why Israel, they hate Israel. They have everything bigger and more of than Israel, but they also realize that Israel's technology is far superior to theirs when it comes to the military. All they have are those the air defense systems given to them by Russia. That's it. That's the only advanced military technology they have right now. So eliminating their air defenses would not be nearly as hard, I believe, as Michael Snyder says. As far as getting to the very deep underground bombs, that too, or bunkers where where their nuclear facilities are, that's not easy, but it's not extremely, or as he put it, extraordinarily difficult. And as he notes, to his credit, he says, we have heard a lot about our bunker buster bombs, but there is a lot of debate about whether those bombs can actually destroy facilities that are buried that deep. I don't know if there's lots of debate. There is debate, but I would argue that I mean, the solution to, hey, this bunker buster bomb didn't go deep enough. Okay, well, drop another one in the same place, or a third. Okay, eventually, that's the whole idea of a bunker buster bomb, is that eventually you get deep enough. Of course, the moment the Iranians start getting bombed, they will strike back by hitting Israeli cities and U.S. bases all over the Middle East. At that point, we would be at war with the Iranians, and there would be no turning back. The following are 8 signs that the bombing of Iran could be coming very soon. Number 1, a second U.S. aircraft carrier is being moved within striking distance of Iran, and that is true, and that is alarming, or that is at least, is it a flex? Is it preparation? Is it both? We'll see. New satellite imagery shows the USS Carl Vinson entering the Indian Ocean via the Malacca Straits, marking a significant step in the U.S. military's increased presence in the region. This move comes as tensions with Iran and the Houthis in Yemen escalate, signaling the potential for a more aggressive U.S. stance in the coming days and weeks. All right, so reason number 1, true. Number 2, it is being reported that 6 B-2 bombers have been deployed to the base on Diego Garcia. This represents 30% of our entire fleet of B-2 bombers. And for those who don't know, Diego Garcia is the joint base between the United States and the United Kingdom in the region, in the Indian Ocean, that is within striking distance aerially. You don't need an aircraft carrier. You can strike Iran from that base, and Iran has actually threatened to strike that base itself. In the largest, and this according to, let's see, KenKlippenstein.com, in the largest single deployment of stealth bombers in U.S. history, the Pentagon has sent 6 B-2 Spirit aircraft to Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. Long-range bombers, which are uniquely suited to evade Iranian air defenses and can carry America's most potent bunker-busting weapons, flew in from Missouri last week in a little-noticed operation. When you're flexing, you want to be noticed. When you're preparing, you don't want to be noticed. So, reason number 2 that Michael Snyder is concerned, I think that is a check mark as well. All right, number 3, the B-2 bombers that have been deployed to Diego Garcia are being left out in the open so that the Iranians can see them. Now, again, that points to more saber rattling, more display and threat versus just preparation. But to be clear, it's not binary. You can do both. You can walk and chew gum at the same time. You can put on a display of strength to to try to dissuade them from moving forward, or to try to persuade them to come to the table is more like it. But you can also use that same opportunity to be ready for a potential strike. So we'll call that. Number 3 is also a check mark. Number 4, negotiations with Iran are scheduled to begin this weekend. The New York Times is reporting that the Iranians are expected to reject President Trump's demands. Okay, well, that sucks. Let's see this. Yeah, this according to the New York Times. Mr. Trump's public demands that Iran stop nuclear enrichment, hand over its large supply of enriched uranium, and destroy its existing nuclear facilities will almost surely be rejected by Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, as an unacceptable humiliation and surrender. How far both sides are willing to compromise is unclear, but President Trump is well known for making ultimate demands at the start and then searching for a deal. That's true. And again, this I'm not going to give this a check mark because it's expected. I don't think that anyone, not anyone in the Trump administration, no one in Iran, and no one in legacy media expected Iran to say, okay, fine, we'll just hand over everything that we've done for the last 2.5 decades because President Trump says so. There's going to have to be more to it than that. So I would say this one's neutral. This doesn't disprove that we are on the verge of striking Iran, but it also doesn't, I don't believe it enhances the ability or the likelihood of that happening. Number 5, President Trump is warning that if negotiations with the Iranians do not succeed, it will be a very bad day for Iran. Once again, I'm going to put this one as neutral because it's ambiguous. Is a very bad day for Iran could be increased sanctions. Now, do I think that that's the case? No, probably not. But again, this in itself is not an indicator that we're about to bomb Iran. Number 6, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is openly telling us that a military strike on Iran has almost become inevitable. Once again, I'm going to put this as neutral because Benjamin Netanyahu and many leaders in Israel have been saying that a strike on Iran is inevitable and sometimes even imminent. And they've been saying this for over a decade. So, yeah, nothing new there. Number 7, now that Trump is in the White House, the Israelis believe that now is the optimum moment to deal with Iran. And let me go full screen because I want you to, let's address this one fully. Yes, this is a significant indicator that we are on the verge of striking Iran. Because Israel has been trying to get us to back them in striking Iran for, again, over a decade. We have worked with Israel. For those who don't recall, I'm not going to go into details now, but look up Stuxnet. They have been actively, they and we, together, the United States and Israel, have been jointly working against the Iranian nuclear program for a very long time. And so now that we have what appears to be the formation of a near perfect storm, it's not a perfect storm yet, but it is getting there, and is urging by Israel for the United States to work with them to go after Iran. This is significant. Not just the moving of the aircraft carriers or the B-2 bombers or anything else. This number 7 is, to me, the biggest reason that I think there is a good chance that we or Israel, or most likely both, will be striking Iranian nuclear facilities in the very near future. It is what it is. All right, back to the article itself. An Israeli diplomatic source warned it is crucial a deal be thrashed out with Iran to temper its nuclear program. They said, from Israel's perspective, with Trump in the White House, this represents the optimum moment to deal with Iran. There won't be a better chance. And that is very true. Obtaining precise intelligence on just how far Iran's nuclear program has advanced has always been hard to obtain. But the reality is they're much closer than anyone can be comfortable with, and they have been for some time. Now, I'm going to disagree with that last part. I don't know how many times I've read the headline, and it's almost, for whatever reason, it's very close to the same headline every time, that Iran is 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb. This general says Iran is 2 weeks away from having nuclear weapons capabilities. This think tank believes that Iran is 2 weeks away from being able to fire nuclear weapons. This, whatever. I mean, I've seen variations of that headline for, I'd say at least almost a decade. We'll call it 7 years. For the last 7 years, I've seen that headline or a variation of that headline repeated approximately every 2 months. They always find somebody to come out and say that Iran is 2 weeks away. It's like the whole climate change hoax, right? We are 10 years away from irreversible climate change disaster, and we've been 10 years away for the last 5 decades. Same thing here. So I'm not downplaying that. I mean, could this be the one? Sure. But if you keep saying the same thing over and over again over a 7-year period, 8-year period, eventually you're probably going to be right, especially in this kind of situation there. All right. Last but not least, number 8. It is just an unverified rumor at this stage, but an Iraqi journalist named Basim Al-Azraji is alleging that the United States, the United Kingdom, and Israel have decided to begin a bombing campaign within the next 7 days. This Iraqi journalist has made a startling claim that the United States, the United Kingdom, and Israel have reached a final agreement to launch a coordinated military strike against Iran. According to this journalist, the attack is expected to begin within the next 7 days. While the journalist did not reveal the sources of his information, the statement has caused a ripple of speculation across regional media and political circles. This journalist's report has not been independently verified, and no official government has issued a statement confirming such a plan. However, rising tensions between Iran, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so look, journalists will be journalists. I don't know this journalist at all. So I don't know how accurate their predictions are. This could be completely bogus. It could be real. So we're going to mark this one as a nil point, which means that of Michael Snyder's eight reasons for believing that we're about to strike Iran, I would say 4 are very good reasons. And 4 are, we'll call it neutral. Not really reasons to believe it, but definitely not reasons to not believe it. In other words, it seems as if, based upon this article, that there is a pretty darn good chance that the United States alone, or the United States and Israel, or Israel with the backing of the United States, that somebody is going to be bombing Iran in the near future, shortly after, I assume, they reject the peace talks that the United States is currently trying to have with them. Once that happens, I would say that there's a good chance. I'm going to put it at 40% chance. So, do I think it's likely based upon all this information? No, I don't. It goes both directions, by the way, when it comes to President Trump. On one hand, yes, he has demonstrated a willingness to use the military to achieve his goals and to strike out against their enemies. On the other hand, he has also demonstrated a strong desire for peace, whether it's between Ukraine and Russia, between Hamas and Israel, between Israel and Iran, between the Houthis and the world, between all of everybody. He wants peace. And so that desire to maintain peace means that he wants Iran to come to the table. He wants to find a way to stop them from getting nuclear weapons. And he wants to do it in a way that is a far more realistic and justifiable than what his previous predecessor, Barack Obama, the predecessor before his first term, the deal that he was able to put together, which wasn't a deal at all. It was stalling. That's it. That's all the original Iranian nuclear deal was about, was them saying, okay, yeah, we'll stop it. Just lift the sanctions, send us all pallets full of cash, and yeah, we'll totally stop it. Totally stop it. They didn't stop it. They didn't slow it. They sped it up. It's like, hey, we got more money to buy more nuclear technology. Let's do it. You cannot trust Iran unless you have something of substance to put them in check. So, do I think President Trump is going to be able he and his team can put together a deal? Yeah, I do. I think that seems to be the most likely scenario. We'll put it at about 60%. But with Iran, based upon their pride, based upon their desire for independence, their desire to be viewed by the world as strong and independent, there is a 40% chance that they will not back down. They will not end their nuclear program. And if that's the case, I would expect to see the United States go after them. Did I play the Ken Paxton thing? I think I did. I'm not going to play it again. I'm going to play it again just in case. If you already saw it, it's only a minute and a half. But let's play it again. I did play it. I now recall I played it. We're playing it again because this is good news to me. Okay. I don't like John Cornyn. I have never liked John Cornyn. I think that John Cornyn he's about a hot dog away from being a Democrat. He is a rhino's rhino. He is the card-carrying member of the Uniparty swamp, second only to we'll say you've got the trio of idiots: Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins. Okay, you got the neocon side of the idiots. You got the Lindsey Grahams of the world, right? And then you've got I guess just the straight out establishment, Uniparty swamp, moderate idiots like John Cornyn, senator out of Texas. So having Ken Paxton come out and saying that he's going to run, and we knew it was going to happen, but I am super excited that he is doing this again. I did play it earlier. We're going to play it again because it's only a minute and a half, and I know that people need to watch, and I need to take a drink of my coffee. So
now, Mr. Attorney General, you have a big announcement, I understand, you want to make tonight. What is it?
Well, first of all, I'm excited to be on your show to do this. It's a great place to do it. I'm announcing that I'm running for U.S. Senate against John Cornyn, who apparently is running again for his fifth term, which would put him there 3 decades. It's definitely time for a change in Texas. We have another great U.S. Senator, Ted Cruz, and it's time we have another great senator that will actually stand up and fight for Republican values, fight for the values of the people of Texas, and also support Donald Trump, in the areas that he's focused on in a very significant way. And that's what I plan on doing. And I hope that people will go to my website and look at what we're doing at kenpaxton.com and obviously contribute as well.
Well, you wouldn't be surprised to know that Senator Cornyn has responded to rumors that you might run. Watch.
Obviously, when you run for office, you get your papers graded. In my case, once every 6 years. And I'm looking forward to having that conversation. And a little competition is okay, too.
Well, he's up for the competition.
Look, he said 24 years of this, which I think is plenty given his lack of production. It's hard to think of the things that he's done good for Texas or for the country. I can certainly point to many things like his gun restrictions, his lack of wanting to fund a border wall and disagreeing with President Trump on that, and even opposing President Trump's election in 2016 and the most recent election. So there's certainly many things to focus on that he has not done, and I think it's time that somebody held him accountable for that.
All right, so what do you guys think? Is that exciting? You like Ken Paxton? You don't? Unfortunately, and I apologize up front, I saw that Jeanette had commented in the chat. One of the reasons that I want to use Rumble Studios is because it does give me a bird's eye view of the chats as they come in, except it doesn't. At least in this case, it didn't, because I don't see it here. I had to actually go to Rumble while you guys were watching the video. I had to go to Rumble to see, hey, there was a chat. Why didn't it pop up in here? I will sort that out. But while we're talking about chat, please go ahead and hop in there into the chat. Number 1, subscribe. Number 2, like the video. I need to get more likes. And number 3, hop into the chat real quick and let me know, is this good? Do you like this? For a long time, I've always produced segments. Okay, I'll take a story, I'll read it thoroughly, or I'll watch a video, I'll get my talking points together. I prepare my segments methodically. I want to create tight messages and get those out there. And I'm still going to be doing that, by the way. Okay. But it's disingenuous to then piece that together and call it a live show. This here, what you're watching, is a live show. This is me, and I'm doing it live. I'm going on, for the Liberty Daily, I'm showing you the process basically, and hopefully in an entertaining fashion, showing you what it is that I go through. I will find stories based on my feeds that I think could make it into the Liberty Daily. Then I read the stories, or at least scan them, decide, is this a good enough story? Is this big enough? Have we covered it? Does it need additional coverage? Does it take a different angle? Does it take the right angle? And then decide, does it go in column 1, column 2, column 3, or is it big enough to go on the top, or is it big, big news and it needs to go in the headlines? That's the process, and I do that with every individual story. So by doing it like this, I think that if I can get this process down, if I can get Rumble Studios to work, which it's been working so far, other than the chat, it's been working great. I love it today. I didn't like it so much last time. That's why I stopped using it for a while. But if I can get all this to work, is this what y'all want? That's a question I'm asking you. You know, does this make for an entertaining live show, or do I just stick with the good old-fashioned putting together very properly thought out and produced segments, piece them together, and turn that into a show? I'm good either way. I'm going to do the segments either way, by the way. I'm just not necessarily going to put them into the live show. The segments are super important to me, especially if you're watching on like YouTube. Okay, my live show on YouTube does not do very well at all, but my segments do. They will get thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views, whereas the individual shows might get 50, the live streams. Whereas on Rumble, it's the other way around. On Rumble, and I love y'all, by the way, if you're watching on Rumble or on X, okay, I don't want to downplay the X audience, or Getter, or BitChute, those are fine, but Rumble, this is the audience that I try to appeal to. So I will check between segments, I guess. I will check to see if anybody comments and leaves a chat saying, yes, do this every night, or no, just do your segments. I'm going to do one or the other, right? So which do you prefer? You want me to do it live, or do you want me to do the segments? So that last article, we are going to publish that one. I'm going to publish that one directly. We have an arrangement. Michael Snyder allows his posts to be published. See, there we go. He allows his posts to be cross-posted elsewhere. So we are going to cross-post this one over on TheLibertyDaily.com. And I won't do that now. That part's long and boring, so I'm not going to do that live on the air. But we will do this. Let's move on to the next story. According to Headline USA.com, pro-gun group celebrates DOJ's decision to axe Biden's zero-tolerance policies. Gun Owners of America hails zero-tolerance repeal as a win for gun rights. And to be clear, I know, and this is going to probably offend some of you, I know there's a lot of people out there that love the NRA. Oh, the NRA. I'm not so much of a fan of the NRA. Gun Owners of America, on the other hand, those guys are studs. In the past, I've had multiple executives over at GOA on my show, and they know what they're talking about, and they fight the good fight. This isn't about, oh my gosh, we've got to do some publicity and hold events and have fundraisers. No, they're actually like filing lawsuits. They're actually trying to defend the rights of American gun owners. So I love that. According to this article by Jose Nino, in a sweeping victory for Second Amendment advocates on Monday, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. When did they add explosives to the mix? Firearms and I've always thought it was just ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Oh, well. They need to be abolished anyway, but whatever. Has officially repealed the Biden-era Federal Firearms Administration Action Policy, widely known as the Zero Tolerance Policy. Originally implemented to penalize gun dealers for even minor paperwork mistakes, the policy created widespread fear and instability across the firearms industry. Its repeal, spearheaded by the Trump administration, signals a sharp turn back towards gun rights and constitutional accountability. Under the leadership of Attorney General Pam Bondi and acting ATF and FBI Director Kash Patel, the agency also announced plans to formally review two other controversial rules, the stabilizing brace rule and the engaged in the business rule, which opponents argue were unconstitutional attempts to restrict lawful gun ownership and create de facto universal background checks. In other words, the prerequisite for gun grabbing in the very near future. The stabilizing brace rule attempted to categorize brace pistols, braced pistols as short-barreled rifles, subjecting them to the harsh restrictions of the National Firearms Act. Meanwhile, the engaged in the business rule blurred the lines between private firearm sales and commercial transactions, effectively criminalizing casual gun transfers. GOA, a key opponent of the zero tolerance policy, has long criticized the ATF's regulatory overreach under the Biden administration. GOA argues the policy had nothing to do with public safety and everything to do with centralized control, particularly targeting law-abiding dealers and small businesses. So amen to that. That one is definitely going up on the Liberty Daily. We're going to pop that one over at column 1. And for those, in case you missed it, so the way we do it, you've got the top stories, which are the big stories. Those the top stories in the headlines. Then you've got the columns. Column 1 gets good, I would say very good love. Column 2 gets decent love, and column 3 gets limited love. Column 3 is where we put the stories that people probably need to see, but that just aren't maybe as interesting. So this one here about gun rights, this is definitely a column 1 headline or a column 1 story. Let's see. Pro-gun group celebrates DOJ's decision. I always have to reread the headlines and figure out if it needs to be spiced up or clarified or anything like that. Pro-gun group celebrates DOJ's decision to axe Biden's zero tolerance policy. Let's just change his name. Trader Joe's to axe Trader Joe's zero tolerance policy. Good stuff there. Publish. All right. Now let's get into some ugliness. Very, very ugliness. This story comes to us from Tyler Durden over at Zero Hedge, one of my favorite sites. They said at least 12 House Republicans consider signing anti-Trump tariff bill. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's means it could be passed. At least a dozen House Republicans are mulling whether to sign onto Representative Don Black's Don Bacon. Why do they call it Don Back? Don Bacon's bill, which would restrict the White House's ability to unilaterally impose tariffs, according to Axios. Bacon, okay, so they got it right the second time. Bacon is crafting a companion bill to the Trade Review Act of 2025, introduced by Senators Chuck Grassley and Maria Cantwell, who's a Democrat. Rhinos and Democrats getting together to try to stop Trump from saving America. Go figure. Which would require the president to notify Congress of any new tariffs within 48 hours with the administration's reasonings, as well as an analysis of their economic impacts. The bill would cause any tariff to expire after 40 days unless Congress passes a resolution of approval. It would also give Congress the ability to pass a resolution of disapproval, which would eliminate the tariff within the 40-day period. According to Bacon, Representatives Jeff Hurd and Dan Newhouse, both Republicans, Rhinos, along with 2 Democrats, have signed onto the bill as co-sponsors. I have 10 others, he says. 10 others, according to Bacon. 10 others who want to do it, but they want to talk to the trade representative first. That said, some House Republicans claim anonymously that they would support the bill. However, Trump has vowed to veto it if it comes across his desk, making the entire effort performative. And it is performative, which is sad, and I'll explain why it's sad here in a second. According to Bacon, he's in no rush to force the issue and bring the bill up for a vote, but he isn't ruling out an effort to bring it to the House floor. I don't think it's likely for this next month, maybe 2 months. I want that bill sitting there, and as we study the stock market, inflation, unemployment, this may be a viable way. Bacon said, adding that there is a prospect that he ends up instead introducing a discharge petition, a procedural maneuver that, if signed by 218 members, can bypass leadership and force a vote on any bill, only to face the Senate and then get Trump's veto. So this is performative, as Zero Hedge is noting. I noted this, was it this morning or yesterday? On a recent segment of the show. I did say that look, they're doing this in a way that is, they're thumping their chest because they know that they might be able. I would say that there's a good chance that they could get this bill passed in both the House and the Senate. Okay, every Democrat's going to sign on to this, and if they can get enough Republicans to sign on to it, then yeah, there is a chance that this could pass. I said good chance. There's a decent chance. It can pass the House for sure. It really could. I mean, there's the majority there is so thin, and there are so many rhinos in the House that I think that they could get it passed in the House. The question is whether it could get passed in the Senate. I'd put that at about maybe 20% chance that it could get passed in the Senate. You know, you've got at least 4 Republicans that are definitely going to vote. 4 or 5, sorry. 6. You got 6 Republicans that we know would vote in favor of it, which means that you can, let's see, you would need, 6 more? No, sorry. Anyway, you need a few more to sign on. I think that they would they would be able to find it. There's a good chance. We'll say 30% chance that they could get it passed in the Senate, in which case it would go, of course, go to President Trump. He would veto it and it would be done. They would not be able to overcome a veto. But this move, for Bacon, who I don't think Bacon's going to, I think he's got a future outside of politics here, starting in 2027. But other than Bacon, I have to question people like Chuck Grassley, people like there's no question as far as Rand Paul. Rand Paul just doesn't like tariffs. Okay. He doesn't like isolation. He's a free trade absolutist, and he does not sign on to the concept that you need fair trade, you need protectionism in order to achieve full-blown free trade. He doesn't buy into that at all. I'm not going to hold that too much against him because that is part of his libertarian leanings. You know, we can say, oh my gosh, he's a rhino. No. Okay. To be clear, we might disagree with him, and maybe you don't. Maybe you totally agree with him. I disagree with him on this particular issue, but I'm not going to call him a rhino. He's not a rhino. Not by any means. Is it bad? You know, is it whatever that he's opposing President Trump and the majority of Republicans on this particular issue? Sure. But it's not unexpected. And it's definitely not something where it's like, oh my gosh, we can't trust Rand Paul. No, I mean, he's allowed to be wrong about things. They're all allowed to be wrong about things. And I would say Rand Paul is correct most of the time, especially compared to many of his Senate colleagues. So I'm not going to sit there and hold this particular one against him. All right. With that said, let's go. Let me go ahead and check in Rumble because unfortunately, we will be able to get it, I think, in the future. But as of right now, I cannot see in the Rumble studios when there is a live feed. So if any of y'all have said, hey, Rucker, here's our thoughts on this, that, or the other, I won't know about it. So let's go in there. Hopefully, let's see what people are saying. According to this, see, Jeanette says, good evening. Good evening to you, Jeanette. Kat Marie says, love your show. You are well-informed and professional. Thank you. You're one of my favorites on Rumble. I like it live. Greetings from Florida. I love Florida. You know, I would actually probably live in Florida if it wasn't for the humidity. That's it. California, we have the weather, and we pay for the weather. Far too much do we pay for the weather. Very annoying. So anyway, so that article, yes, that's another one that's going to be posted over on the Liberty Daily. Let's go to the feed. Give you guys a bird's eye view of the feed. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit just so you can get an idea. So there's that Headline USA one. And you can see some of the things we're pulling from legal insurrection, Steve Bannon's War Room, pulling from a few different places. And this is where I go again to find stories. I know you probably can't see it on the screen. Maybe you have it enlarged where you can see it. I'm just going to go through it real quick and pick out a couple more stories for us to consider. And okay, so before I do that, let me go ahead and do a reset here, because I know a lot of people, maybe you missed the first few minutes of the show. So let me do a brief explanation of where we stand. I got a note yesterday, a very heartfelt note saying, look, basically they were saying, I don't care what you're doing. You've got to be, this is too important. You've got to do your show every night. Okay. And I appreciate that. I greatly appreciate that. But I wanted to explain and do it live and demonstrate really what I do every night. Because for those who do not know, I'm the editor of TheLibertyDaily.com, which gets approximately anywhere from 11 million to 13 million hits per month. We do it all by hand, so I have to read through every headline and through a whole bunch of stories every night. So having a nighttime show is dependent upon my ability, in the past at least, my ability to put together enough segments throughout the day that I can then piece together into a quote unquote live show that would then go live, and I'm working at night. So it's like I'm doing my show during the day, right? And then broadcasting it at night. Well, if I have a day where I'm busy, I can't make it up. I can't like, okay, so 5 o'clock rolls around, I start my shift on the Liberty Daily. I'll just squeeze in an hour or two worth of segments. That just doesn't work very well. So the thought process was this: I have to do what I'm doing with you all live here tonight. I have to go through every story and determine, a few things. Number one, have we already covered it? If we already covered it and there's nothing new about it, I skip it. Number two, is it interesting? We don't like posting anything that's boring. Number three, is it important? Is it crucial? And then number four, how crucial is it? Is it crucial enough to go in column 3, which is pretty much any story that is worthy of going on the Liberty Daily? It can at least go in column 3. Is it more important than that? Let's put it in column 2. Is it more important than that? Let's put it in column 1. And then if it's truly legitimately, yeah, we got to cover this. We need as many people to see this story as possible. That's when it goes up into the top section or the headline section. And based upon that, that's, rinse and repeat. It's not just a quote unquote job. It's a responsibility and it's an honor, because we are able to help to expose people, to expose Americans to content, and also to, perhaps just as important, to help people find sources that we use. I find new sources all the time. There's one, it's so new, I don't remember the name of it. I think it's RWP Media. I'll probably find it in the feed. I hope it is RWP Media, because I don't want people to watch. It's like I got it wrong, and it's going to send somebody like some I don't know, something weird. I will find it. Don't go there yet. I'll find a story from there. But we just discovered them like last week, and and I checked their statistics, through SimilarWeb, and they're getting like 8,000 visitors a month. Well, I could send them 8,000 visitors in an hour, right? So helping to expose what I believe to be very good, I would say top 30 quality content. As I'm just reading through, I was like, wow, how have I never heard of this guy? How have I never heard of this publication before? And then I went and checked. Oh, it's because nobody's reading it. Well, now hopefully, Lord willing, we'll be able to help people to read it. We'll be able to help more Americans to find it and to help this guy get his very good content out there. So it goes in both directions. It's not just about informing you all. It's also about helping to expose, because we don't post Fox News articles, okay? They get like 400 million visitors a month. They don't need my help. And perhaps more importantly, I don't trust them. Do I like some of the stuff they publish, some of their shows? Sure. I just don't ever watch them. I don't trust Fox News. We'll post some clips from there. Because they do have access. Unfortunately, there's one power that legacy media has. It's that they, something happens, they can send somebody to Azerbaijan to get live footage. Okay. They have the resource. They have access to, oh, hey, like for me, I can't just go to Don Bacon and say, hey, Don, what's your problem? Whereas they could, and they do. They say, hey, Don, what's going on? Tell us more about this whole tariff thing. So we do have to rely on them to some extent, but I'm not going to expose them nearly as much as somebody who's got great information or a great story. We had that one earlier that I had published. You can still find it in the top section. This is from Emerald Robinson over at emerald.tv. It's a great story, great article about Honduras. It is important, and it doesn't get nearly enough attention. We try to get that exposed out there. The reason I'm telling you all this is because I would love to just do my show. If it paid all the bills, I would, to be clear. But it doesn't. And so we have to get it to that point. But we also have to keep doing what we're doing. I have to keep pushing TheLibertyDaily.com. I have to continue to do everything that I do during the day in both media as well as in from a financial perspective. I have to support my family. That is my second highest priority. Number one, of course, being is to serve my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and to promote the gospel. Those two things are, and to pray and all that. So we'll say the combined, the accumulated faith aspect of my life, that is by far the most important. Second is supporting my family. Third is saving America. And the best way that I can help save America currently is through the Liberty Daily. Ideal world, near future world, it's the Liberty Daily and the J.D. Rucker Show working together. And this is what we're trying to do tonight. Tonight is my attempt to see if I can operate and expose and basically run the Liberty Daily, but do it live on the air for you and everybody else to see, so that we are killing as many birds with as few stones as possible, spreading the truth through the Liberty Daily, spreading the truth through the J.D. Rucker Show simultaneously. So that's why today's show is very important. That number one, you subscribe if you haven't already. Number two, you give me the thumbs up. Number three, go to jdrucker.com/coffee and get some amazing coffee from a Christian store. I didn't actually have a number three coming up, but I was thinking about coffee. So yeah, subscribe, like, thumbs up, whatever, and jdrucker.com/coffee and get coffee from Promise Grounds, a Christian coffee company that I think does a fantastic job. There's one huge fringe benefit, or I guess bonus benefit, to doing it like this, to doing it live and working the Liberty Daily at the same time. For those who don't know, there was a time not too long ago, it's a little over a year ago, when I used to do shortwave radio. I used to do terrestrial radio, and I used to go for anywhere from 2 to 4 hours per day in one sitting. I have my superpowers that I don't have to use the restroom. I can sit for an extended period of time without using the restroom. I always thought, you know what? I could probably be a very good filibuster guy. I could probably beat Cory Booker's new record. The difference is that I would not need a diaper, and I would do so in a way that is that actually says important things versus the weird, odd screaming and yelling and ranting that he did for 25 hours or whatever. So yeah. And on top of that, I can also just keep talking about stuff. You give me enough stories, I can talk about any of them. If I know about the details, I can tell you what the details are. If I don't know about the details, I'll just read it to you. And then we can discuss it like that. All right. With that said, let's get back into this setting. So again, this is my feed. We have approximately 300 feeds. They come and go. There's certain feeds that we take off, certain feeds we add on there. Some feeds we have on here, not because we're going to post from that particular feed, but because they give me, they have information. Like, for example, Axios. I'm not going to post from Axios, but they do get scoops, and I can then take the information that they have out there and either write my own story or find a conservative source to be able to expand on that story. So yeah. All right. Let's see here. What else do we got here? According to Outkick, let's calm the tariff panic. Oh, this is Tommy Lahren. All right, let's go. We'll take a look at that one. I'm not going to play the video, but let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the article. Let's see. Mass shooting rocks Virginia suburb. We'll see what that is, just in case. Daily Wire says, stop grandstanding. Trump tells GOP holdouts in budget revolt. Yes, that is definitely going to be something to consider. I'm not sure if I want the Daily Wire's perspective on that one, but we'll see. Gateway Pundit says, as Tom Homan highlights missing children in speech to Arizona legislator, radical Radical open borders Democrat walk out holding signs with illegal aliens' names and protest outside of Capitol. One Democrat lawmaker cries. Now, if you didn't know, if you're not familiar with the Gateway Pundit, that I can always tell a Gateway Pundit headline without even seeing the source because they put the story in the headline, and I appreciate that. It does make it harder because I can't post that entire headline over on the Liberty Daily. It would be like 3 inches long in a column, but I appreciate the fact that Jim Hoft and his team they do the exact opposite of clickbait. Okay. I see some of these, and when I say some, unfortunately, too many of these quote unquote conservative outlets will be like, this senator just said something that's going to make this Democrat's head explode. And it's like, well, who said what to who? Well, I guess you're going to have to click through to find out. It's like, guys, why? We, over at the Liberty Daily, we believe in giving plenty of information so that somebody could get the news from the Liberty Dailies, thelibertydaily.com, the front page. Now, you'd have to click through to get the details, but at least you'd know what details you're going after, right? Like in this case, I'm going to reread this headline from the Gateway Pundit. As Tom Homan highlights missing children in speech to Arizona legislature. So who is it? Tom Homan. What's he doing? He's highlighting missing children. Where? In Arizona during a speech to the Arizona legislature. All right, that's already plenty of information, but they keep going. What happened there? Radical open borders Democrats walk out holding signs with illegal aliens' names, then protest outside of Capitol. Wow, that's a lot of information in a headline. And that's great. I'm more inclined to click on that than if they put up a clickbait headline such as border czar tells state legislature something crazy about missing children, and Democrats pull this stupid stunt. That's like a clickbaity headline that I see on far too many sites. I prefer the Gateway Pundits version. But they didn't stop there. They actually added one more line, one more bit of information. One Democrat lawmaker cries. Love it. See, if more people, and this is why the Gateway Pundit is successful, by the way. You've got all these other publications that are like, hey, let's throw out a clickbait headline and try to get people to have to click in if they want to get the details. Gateway Pundit is, let's give them details, and if they're interested in learning more, they will. I like that. I like that a lot. Let's see. Coal industry, we covered that. China has a 6-point plan to defeat Trump. I want to see that one. I'm probably not going to post it, but I do want to see that one. Let's see. NHLer Brendan Lemieux suspended. I don't care. We do post some sports stories, but only if they're big. See, New York Times publishes Hunter Biden bombshell years after it matters. We already covered that one. AI and potatoes from on high. This is from Granite Grok, New Hampshire's #1 leader in New Hampshire news and national news. They do a great job across the board, so we'll check that one out. Gateway Pundit says Mark Levin sounds alarmed about Sharia law. Compliant city planned in Texas, cites reports from the Gateway Pundit. Good stuff there, but we have covered. That's Epic City. If you're not familiar with it, you are. I already know you are. But just in case you're not, you should look it up. I've talked about it 2 or 3 times on my show. We've published it or posted about it over at AmericaFirstReport.com as well as DiscernReport.com. I'm not going to push it any further, not until there's more information. Vaccine experts raise concern about non-specific effects of some vaccines. Possible. That might be a good one. The Epoch Times says House Democrats moved forced vote on blocking tariffs. We sort of covered that. That's the bacon incident. Again, they're not going to be able to block tariffs. President Trump will veto it. Then they won't be able to overturn the veto. So it's sort of like, yeah, that makes for great fodder and kabuki theater, but it's not going to do anything. It's just going to waste everybody's time. American Thinker says Disney's race problem. Interesting. Okay, we'll check it out. Probably not, but just in case. Skip. DHS will begin fining illegals for refusing. We already covered that one. That's a great story, by the way. You should check it out. Pete Hegseth stands firm. Did we talk about? Oh wait, did we cover it? I had to do a search. There was a Navy, a rear admiral, I believe, who got ousted from their NATO position, and she was super ultra woke, and allegedly, and I didn't see this in the story. We'll go to let me check that one out just in case it mentions it in the story. But I think it was Jack Posobiec on X who noted that this rear admiral had told her team that basically we'll wait out this administration. In other words, they're going to stay woke. They're just going to keep it on the down low. And allegedly, they wouldn't put up in the NATO headquarters. This rear admiral was unwilling to put up images of Trump or Hegseth. So they're gone. She's gone, whoever it is. We'll see if that's a story to keep. Conservatives going in the wrong direction. On feminism, it's a question from Spectator. I like Spectator, but unfortunately, they give you a limited number of stories that you can post, that you can read in a month. So we rarely post from them unless it's a huge story. Just the news. House Democrats campaign arm releases list of 35 Republicans. Already covered that. She must have a cult follow. That's funny. This is from Twitchy. Twitchy they always try to be almost too funny with their headlines, but I still like them. She must have a cult following. We saw this half horse, half human DJ, so now you have to. I don't want to. I try to avoid any of those shocking stories. I get it. Cult following. Gateway pundit, NASA director nominee Jared Isaacman on returning to the moon versus focusing on trips to Mars. Good one there. That's probably going to be very interesting. We'll see. Citizen Free Press says Harvard advises international students not to leave the U.S. You may not be allowed back. That's old. Harvard students sinking lower. Worthy Christian News says youth with a mission regrets spiritual abuse, manipulation, closes location. We will check that out just in case. Citizen Free Press, Trump issues veiled threat to Iran as B-2 bombers amass. We talked about that. Citizen Free Press, ouch, this is embarrassing. Brown University. Okay, I'll click on the bait. We'll see what that is. Just the news. ACLU sues Trump administration to block Alien Enemies Act deportations. I think that's already been covered, but I need to find out because that is important enough to discuss. Zero Hedge, 5 details that most observers missed from SIPRI's latest international arms trend reports. I love Zero Hedge, but sometimes they get a little bit too academic for me. That's one that I'm not interested in. North Carolina church to drop 20,000 Easter eggs from helicopter. Better than dropping turkeys. I'm not going to say where that's from. If you know, you know. If you're old enough to remember, then yeah. It was one of the greatest moments in television history. I recall it. I am old. Let's see. All right, we'll check it out. That's Todd Starnes, my good friend. With fresh U.S. tariff kicking in, China faces huge challenge at home. That's according to the Epoch Times, and they, of course, hate the Chinese Communist Party. That's their shtick. Red State, Frozen 2, Trump admin pauses billions in Fed, grants to university, blah, blah, blah. We've covered that. California health officials warn of deadly hantavirus. I try to avoid those, by the way, to be clear. Not obviously hantaviruses, but I try to avoid stories about the next pandemic unless it's exposing that it's a pandemic. Otherwise, look, we've gone through so many of these things. It's like, oh my gosh, this is the next COVID. Oh, this is 10 times worse than COVID. Oh my gosh, we're dying from monkeypox or measles or hemorrhagic fever or whatever. It's like, I mean, I don't know what the plan is there. I don't know if they're just trying to, whatever. I avoid those stories. Unless they are, again, exposing the realities of Big Pharma and the globalist elite cabal. Netanyahu, Trump meeting disappoints with no change to tariffs, no new hostage deal. Okay. Trump warns that major tariffs are coming soon on foreign pharmaceuticals. Definitely checking that one out. And I am definitely, you know what? If we're going to have this insurance industrial complex, there should be at least one benefit, and that would be one, since otherwise there's none. Let's see. Skip. Anti-Israel activist. Pentagon considers unprecedented military action against Mexican cartels. I'll pass. Wokeness is bold as Trump. We already covered that one. Attorney punished for having Bible on desk. Todd Starnes once again. Another potentially interesting one. All right, let's. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. Sorry, I'm boring you to death as I just sit here and read headlines. But that is part of it. The fun part about my job is being able to stay on top of the news and to read through it and to expound upon it sometimes, or just report it at other times. That's great. I love that aspect of it. The boring part is finding the stories. And I'm sorry for making you sit through all that, but it's either that or I guess I could just not have stories. We could just talk. You and I. We could just talk about stuff. Yeah, I don't think so. All right, let's get into some of these stories here real quick. You know what? I'm going to play a video because it's been a little bit since I took a sip of my coffee. So I am going to play a video. I think I've only got one left. But we will see. We will see. Let me go ahead and play this video. And then when we get back, I will get into all those stories that we were looking at just now. And maybe not all of them, but at least a couple. Let's see, which video do we have here? This is a good one. This is breaking news. At least it was a few hours ago, so I guess it's just news now. But important news. Doge is discovering some actionable things in Social Security. Watch.
Fox to reveal what's really going on. Doge exposed our immigration asylum disaster. That was the tip of the iceberg. Now here's the story. Doge has found that immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum request had been accepted or denied. So they could work as an illegal, knowing it would take years before their case was heard. The Immigration Department mailed them a Social Security number. No interview, no proof of identity. They just put it in the mail. Here's your number. In 2021, Doge says 270,000 new aliens were issued Social Security numbers, 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, and 2.1 million in 24, right before Biden left office. Doge also discovered that 1.3 million aliens are now receiving Medicaid. Millions received driver's licenses, some registered to vote, and Doge says some actually did vote. Try and square that against Democrat claims that Musk is destroying Social Security and cutting Medicaid. He's not destroying. He's weeding out people who don't qualify. Who is really guilty of misinformation in this case? It is not Elon Musk.
Best part about doing this like this, I'll admit, I'm starting to love it. Best part about doing this is that you all, if you watch this show, and if I do this every night, that means that everybody's going to be able to get the news as it's breaking and the reactions. Nighttime is a good time for reactions. Okay. We do get to hear during the day news breaks. It's something's happening. This is happening. That's happening. At night, we get to see some of the reactions to what is happening. And I do appreciate that. All right, let's get into some of these stories. Let's calm the tariff panic. Give Trump a chance to do what should have been done years ago by Tommy Lahren over at Outkick.com. All right, so there's been a lot of reactions in the market and the media to Trump's tariffs, and yeah, to be expected. I'd divide into two groups. First group are the Democrats who just hate Trump and salivate over an opportunity to crap on him and cheer for the downfall of America if it means they get an excuse to crap on him. Second group are the folks who live and die on the stock market. I understand the panic and I understand the reaction because this stuff matters to Wall Street and it matters to folks who have retirement and 401ks dependent on the market. We cannot dismiss that. But you know what? Okay, let me read it a little bit further. But to the second group of folks, I'd simply ask you to give Trump the benefit of the doubt. I firmly believe he is doing all of this to get America and our interests back on solid ground, and he's willing to take some short-term flack for it. Truth is, he's the only one in elected office with the balls to do it. All right, we're definitely going to post this story because that is 100% correct. Let's be clear about two things. Number one, yes, of course. I mean, he doesn't have a re-election to worry about, so that's good. Again, I like second-term Trump a lot more than first-term Trump. Okay. And yes, he does have the balls to take the flack to do certain things, this being one of them. I wish he would do the same thing with entitlements. Discussion for another day. We're keeping it positive. But let's talk about retirement accounts real quick. As you know, I represent a gold company. I also represent a crypto company that does retirements. But here's the thing, and hopefully none of my sponsors are watching. If you're looking at what's happening in the stock market today, and you're like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, my retirement account is losing a bunch of money. The reality is, if your retirement account is in stock market, no, it's not losing a bunch of money. It is, I guess, technically on the short term, but we're talking about a retirement account. Now, if you're a day trader, okay, so maybe there's reasons to worry. If you're a hedge fund, okay, maybe there are reasons to worry. But if you're looking at your 401k, your IRA, or your pension or anything like that, and you're like, oh my gosh, Trump is destroying my retirement. No, unless you're planning to start pull from your retirement tomorrow or next week or next month or however long, in a short period of time, then yeah, I could see how you could be concerned. But if this really is truly your retirement account, then just hang tight. Okay, the stock market ebbs and flows. It goes down and then it goes up more, and then it goes down a little and then it goes up more. It's on a cycle. It has been true throughout the history of American stock markets. They have crashes. They have corrections. They have bull markets. They have bear markets. We have bad things happening. But if you're talking about your retirement, that's a long-term thing. So just hang tight. Okay. Did we lose 1,000 points out of the stock market yesterday? Sure. Or however much it was. But it's going to come back by the time you pull from your retirement account. It will be coming back. Now, with that said, I know that there are required distributions, and a lot of you are thinking, well, yeah, but I have to take out a certain amount of money, and by doing it like this, okay, that sucks. This is one of the reasons, by the way, that I am very, very happy with, and I enjoy working in gold and in crypto when it comes to retirement accounts. I would never put my retirement account in the stock market, to be clear. Okay. Not anymore. Not after all I know. I would put mine in physical precious metals or crypto or both, just because there's more stability and as well as a greater upside in both cases, in my humble opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. Please don't say, oh my gosh, Rucker told me to get rid of my 401k and to buy eggs. It's not what I'm saying. And even if I were, this isn't financial advice. But, there is a benefit. For example, with physical precious metals, if you have that back in your retirement account, well, you can always, when it's time to take those required distributions, you can always have it distributed to you in the form of gold and silver. That's the beauty of it. You can actually have, you're required to take out X percentage, X amount of dollars every year. Okay. Have it sent to your home in gold and silver coins and throw that in your safe. It doesn't always have to be cashed out. You don't have to rely on fiat currency for your distribution. So I've already mentioned, I'm not going to re-mention jdrgold.com, but I will mention jdrcrypto.com. jdrcrypto.com for those of you who want to consider investing your retirement accounts, take them and roll them over into an IRA that's backed by Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever. You have that opportunity at jdrcrypto.com. And if you want to even buy cash, it doesn't have to be your retirement account. You just want to buy crypto in cash and have it managed through artificial intelligence, through experts, through award-winning people. Just check it out. I'm not trying to make a picture. I really did just want to highlight that fact. What Tommy Lahren is saying is calm down. Just calm down. It's okay. Again, there are certain scenarios, certain people who may be feeling a whole lot of pain and financial financial distress as a result of what's happening with the stock market today. Generally, those people are going to be the high end, the billionaires. Okay, they're the ones that's like, oh crap, I just lost a whole bunch of money as a result. Which is why I think it's kind of funny that you got the uniparty swamp, particularly the Democrats out there. They're like, oh my gosh, we blame the billionaires for everything, and oh my gosh, look at what President Trump is doing, harming the billionaires. We've got to stop him. Yeah, hypocrites. All right. Breaking story, possibly. According to Headline USA, mass shooting rocks Virginia suburb. There's dozens upon dozens of officers out actively looking for suspects and preserving the crime scene. 3 people were killed and 3 others were injured in a shooting in northeastern Virginia Tuesday evening, according to law enforcement. So this is actually a breaking story. At about 5:30 p.m., law enforcement received 911 calls about a shooting at a townhouse complex in Spotsylvania County, about 65 miles southwest of Washington, D.C., said Major Elizabeth Scott, spokesperson for the Spotsylvania Sheriff's Office. She said they are urging public to stay clear, yada, yada, yada. So there was a mass shooting. Let's see. 3 people dead. Yeah, this is a big enough story. Let's go ahead and throw this up there. Throw it up there. Let's see what we got so far. Do I need another? I do. I'm going to need another video. Let's go ahead and get this thrown up there. We do not, by the way, we do not believe in the term mass shooting. It's a mass murder. We don't blame the guns. We blame the criminals. They are the ones who did this. Mass murder. 3 dead from mass murder. That rocks Virginia suburb. Make that red. Publish that one. All right, now time for a video. This one I can't play it, unfortunately, because I had already one negative about I can do it on my end when I'm publishing, when I'm doing it through OBS. I can actually just take a video that's on the screen on X or YouTube or whatever, and I can broadcast it through the show. I can't do that with Rumble. I actually have to upload the videos, so I have to get all the videos ahead of time. But there was this wild video. You can find it over on the Liberty Daily's Rumble channel. Wild footage out of Arkansas. A couple they get into their car, and then like seconds later, you can see lightning strike like literally a foot and a half away. We'll say 3 feet away. 3 feet away. It was crazy, but I can't play it for you. But I can post it. If you wait about 30 seconds, you'll be able to go to TheLibertyDaily.com, and you will see it up at the top. All right. That's one thing I'm going to have to get around are the lulls, because it is, you don't want to sit here watching me copy and paste stuff, right? But sometimes that's part of the gig. So I'm going to have to learn how to maybe start telling jokes during those times. All right, let's get to the next story. According to the Daily Wire, stop grandstanding. Trump tells GOP holdouts in budget revolt. President later took aim at Republicans who have moved to rein in his tariff authority. And those ones we already talked about. Nothing to see there, but there are those who can prevent the budget plan, which is already passed in the Senate. It can be stopped in the House. We will see. On Tuesday evening, President Donald Trump told House Republicans holdouts to stop grandstanding and support a budget plan that lays the groundwork for his one big, beautiful bill. Trump spoke at the National Republican Congressional Committee dinner. He said, "We had a great meeting today. I think we are there, but just in case there are a couple of Republicans out there, you just got to get there. Close your eyes and get there. It's a phenomenal bill. Stop grandstanding." He also argued if we slash taxes on American workers and producers, our economy will soar, jobs will surge, manufacturing will boom, and our country will prosper like never, ever before. We get to get this big, beautiful deal done. We got to get it done. We get it done now. Don't wait 2 weeks. Don't wait 2 weeks. Bad things happen. Crazy things happen in politics. Just get the damn thing done and stop showboating. A couple of people want to, sir, we got to get a little bit more. A little bit more, he asked. You know what they're going to get? They end up getting nothing. You end up getting a Democrat bill or worse. And he's right. We've seen that too many times. It does happen. So I'm going to definitely post that story. Let's see what else. There's that long story or that long headline. I'm going to skip that one. We're going to post it, but I'm not going to read that particular headline. China has a 6-point plan to defeat Trump and win the economic war. Let's see what China's thinking. Now, as I've noted multiple times, I don't think that it's possible for China to win this, not if President Trump stays resolute, which he will. But you never know. Things happen. So let's go and see what their 6-point plan is. And this comes to us from endtimeheadlines. Endtime, singular, endtimeheadlines.org. Ricky over there does a great job. The Chinese have no intention of giving in to President Trump and are vowing to fight to the end. So that means that an economic war between the number one economy on the entire planet and the number two economy on the entire planet is officially on. Yesterday, I warned my readers that imports from China were about to be hit with a 104% tariff. But because this number had not been reported by the mainstream media yet, a lot of people didn't believe me. Of course, this morning, major news outlets all over the globe were using that number. Here's just one example, blah, 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 blah. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Tuesday that because China declined to lift its retaliatory tariff, the president's additional 50% tariff levied on top of previously imposed tariffs of 20% and 34% took effect, bringing the total tariff on Chinese goods to 104%. She added that the tariffs took effect at noon Eastern time on Tuesday. I thought it was midnight. So I was wrong. So they're already in effect. With tariff collection set to begin on Wednesday, Leavitt said that U.S. trading partners would be coming to the administration with deals to improve trade terms. This president's message, and this is a quote from Caroline Leavitt, this president's message has been simple and consistent from the beginning to countries around the world. Bring us your best offers, and we will listen. Deals will only be made if they benefit American workers and address our nation's crippling trade deficits. I'm still waiting. Where's China's plan? Let's see. Skip ahead. Skip. Gordon Bloomberg, 2 influential state-linked Chinese bloggers, great, have published the identical list of countermeasures that the Chinese government is preparing to implement. While China hasn't said how it would respond if Trump follows through on his threat, 2 influential state-linked Chinese bloggers posted on... wow. Come on, Ricky. I'm sitting here saying how good you are, and then you embarrass me? Stop it. They included raising tariffs on U.S. farm products, a ban on Hollywood movies, which we did hear about today, and investigating American firms' intellectual property gains in the country. Wow, is that not calling the pot calling the kettle black? Without a doubt, some of these countermeasures would definitely cause quite a bit of pain for our economy. Suspending cooperation with the U.S. on fentanyl, which Beijing itself helped flood into American communities, jacking up tariffs on American farm goods like soybeans and sorghum, blocking U.S. poultry, clamping down on American service industries, investigating U.S. intellectual property, we already covered that, and of course, reducing or banning U.S. films. In addition, the Chinese have already placed new restrictions on rare earth elements, and have added more U.S. companies to the unreliable entities list. On top of everything else, it appears that a major currency devaluation would be right around the corner. And that comes from, oh, wow, that's funny. That's actually from Michael Snyder. So, no, okay, I'm not mad at Ricky. It was Michael. Michael was one that I don't know, maybe Ricky copied and pasted it wrong. Point is that, no, I'm not going to post that one. All right. Let's see. Do we have enough time? Let's see. We might. I will tell you in 1 second. Let me see how many people are here. Because what I don't want to do is overstay my welcome. Oh my gosh, Kat Marie, thank you so much. Live or recorded, both are good. Whatever is better for you and your family, as long as you continue to produce your show. I will continue to produce my show. That is one thing that is not negotiable, and I greatly appreciate the financial assistance. Thank you so much for that, Kat Marie. So I am going to, because we're trying to pace ourselves, as I noted earlier, I could definitely do this. Like Captain America, I can do this all day. Well, I can literally do this all day. I could do my show for 8 to 10 hours a day. Thankfully, for y'all's sake, I don't have to, because all of these various platforms have limitations. I think Rumble's is 4 hours. And we're not approaching that yet. So I still have a little bit of time, but I don't want to overstay my welcome. In other words, I don't want to, let me go full transparency. We are trying to get into Rumble's program. I forgot what it's called. It's their premium creators program. I have to have a certain amount of hours every month, which that part is going to be easy. But I also want to make sure they're quality hours. I don't want to just, I don't want to do like a Cory Booker style filibuster and just read a bunch of articles to you. I want it to be valuable. I want it to be important. The intention here is, yes, to support my family, but also to spread the news, spread the proper message from a conservative political perspective, spread the proper message from a sane cultural perspective, and of course, spread the gospel, spread my joy, my love for Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. These are things that I want to be able to do without having to feel like, oh, you're filling just filling the void or whatever. Not filling the void, but filling time. So we are going to that's funny. So it actually, if you're still watching, it actually Rumble disappeared for me just now on the screen. Hopefully you can still see me, which is okay if you can't, because I was ending it anyway. But it's really funny stuff. Point being is that we need subscribers, we need thumbs up, we need likes, and it doesn't matter if you're watching on YouTube, X, Rumble, wherever. Please give us that love, because it helps to get the word out. And again, I do want to do this. As Kat Marie noted, I want to keep doing this every day, all the time, nonstop. Or maybe we'll take breaks, a few. Lord willing, I will be back very soon with another episode. But in the meantime, stay strong, stay safe, and God bless.